So nobody saw that. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing. Now we are. Now we're live. It's Saturday Night Live. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, Nikki, live from Pursuit. We should have you do that in the beginning of every single one.
It's
Live from Pursuit. Alrighty then. We have a good lunch? Yeah, we all feel fat, happy, and full? Good. That's what I like to hear. Clap once if you can hear my voice. Clap twice if you can hear my voice. All right, cool. Can anybody give me kind of like a quick rundown of what we've done so far with Express? Yeah, Johnny, go for it.
We use res.send, res.send file. We use get requests by using routes. We use conditions to print out certain things to the routes. And what else did we do? We used the console ports, node.mon, and
Okay, cool. Yeah, great job. Winter really liked it. Okay. Okay, so just to reiterate a little bit, maybe going slightly more in depth, right? We learned about package JSON, right? It was like the ingredient list in a recipe of what we need in order to make the recipe, right? So this is where all of our packages get stored. So when someone phones your thing, you can just say npm install, goes to package JSON, and then installs all of those required packages. When it does that, we get this big folder called node modules that like has all of the dependencies of that, and it's so massive, and we don't want to push that into GitHub because it's too massive, and we already have the ingredient list in our package JSON, so why add all of that extra stuff, right? It's just kind of fluff. So we created this git ignore, and we wrote node modules / them there in order to ignore that, so we don't have that in our GitHub. And after we looked at HTTP and we're creating a server natively in JavaScript, we decided to add this really cool node package called Express. Yeah, right, Express. Let's express our gratitude for that one, because they really make the world a lot easier. We start with this, we require Express at the top, we make a little variable called app, that's like the tradition, right? It could be called anything, but keep it at app, because that's what like you'll see everywhere, and it's what people are expecting to see from your code. Super important we pay attention to our variable names. Just want to do a slight little side mark on that. When we were talking about a quick sort, and there was like the left side of the pivot and the right side of the pivot, I saw a lot of people make their variable names of just array 1 and array 2. Not descriptive enough. Okay, we really want other people to be able to read our code too. That's who will be reading your code the most. You're going to write the code, you'll never look at it again. Other people will come and read it. So you want to write for them. Okay, with that, we have the availability of all of these Express methods, right? And we get all of those HTTP requests. We get get, we get, I think we had a post, a put, a delete. We have all of these. And these all take a callback function, which is the only callback function that we know of at the moment. Eventually, they might take more. But for this one, we just have one. And they all have this request object and this response object. If we remember, the request object is coming in from the client. It's saying, hey, I request you give me this. And the server goes, well, I'm responding with this. All right, just like a back and forth. It's a conversation between the internet. And we learned how much easier it is to do that with Express, because we can just say like app.get, and then we can say like API/people. And then we get to pass that in. Gesundheit, bless you. We have this JSON object of some sort. Hopefully, eventually, as in like next week or in a little while, we'll be getting this information from our own database. But for now, we were just kind of making our own made-up data that we would get from an imaginary database, and we send that back. Res, we discovered, was very flexible. It has .json, and we can pass in JSON. We were able to pass in like a static HTML file with res.send file. We saw that we can adjust the status to a 404 and chain methods into our res. And so that was the bulk of it. But then we quickly, at the very end, which we're going to go over more today, was we talked a little bit about wildcards. Can anybody remind me what a wildcard was? Let's see, anyone who I haven't heard from today? Should I randomly pick a number? It's going to be weirder without 6x6 tables. Come on, take a guess. If you don't, it's okay. Mortez, I haven't heard from you.
Wildcard, we use it wildcard when we want to get information from the user, and we use that data. Then normally we use it as in form of a slash ID or anything else, and we get that information and we use the part. I remember, I forget that.
It's all right, you're crushing it so far.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So Morteza says, and let's do it, let's review it. But Morteza says we can show that our route is accepting some sort of wildcard with a colon or 2 dots, right? And 2 vertical dots. And he's saying we can have this, like here, we can go /dogs and then this wildcard of breed. And we can even go further and say this wildcard of age. And then that comes in, that's a piece of data that becomes available to us. And it becomes available in the form of request.params. So let's call this, let's get our server running. I don't think it is right now. Okay. Let's check this. I'm not on localhost. So we go to localhost because that's where our server is running. I'm calling it mine on the port of 3000. So it's specifically listening to requests over there. We get this hello world. Looks very similar to the other one, except for now we could potentially change pages. I could go to contact. I could spell, I could. /contact. Right. That's kind of exciting. We could even put links to move us around. And what I mean by that, here, I'm going to quickly demonstrate that. Inside of my contact page here, I could put an A tag here, where I could do A tag / let's say home. So if I go here and I refresh, I get this home tag, and when I click on this, I get taken home. So that's kind of fun. We can start moving around. I didn't really show that the other day just because we weren't really using it. We won't really use it that much. But like, you should know you can do things like that. And I'll show you more a little later with the form. And if I had a contact here, right, I could quickly go between pages. This is something you might find yourself doing when you do make a bigger application, is even if you don't really need links to a different page, sometimes it's really nice to put a link to that other page so that you can check if your pages are working correctly without like having to keep typing things in. Just be like, okay, home, top, like a little list along the side or something. Cool? Okay? Hey. Okay, so we had the slash dogs, and then we had a breed. So I'm going to say poodle and slash, I think we had an age in there or something. I'll just say 40, whatever it is. And it didn't take us anywhere, but I had it print to the terminal. And we can see that I've got this breed of poodle and a 40-year-old dog. Hopefully that's dog years. Otherwise that dog is, oh my God. Do we understand where these are coming from and how we're having access to these? Yep, okay. So that's coming from this line right here, where we're saying at the route of dogs slash the wild card of breed and the wild card of age. So let's say I wanted to get a specific person. What could I do? If I wanted a route that said slash people slash, and then I would put in a name. Could somebody walk me through that process or not?
You want to do a new one or?
Yeah, just a brand new one here.
So you're going to do after get.
After get.
And you want to put dash API.
Okay, let's not do API, but let's do people. Okay.
Slash and column and name.
Okay.
Then the second argument will be function. And request. Arrow. And so you want like whichever.
Let's have it print. Let's have it send back just like
Oh,
hello and then the name.
So do console.log.
How about on the page?
Okay. Res.send.
Okay.
And then reg.params.
Sure. I'll fill that up. Thank you. Thank you so much, Renat. Good job. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now I think our server should have restarted, but maybe I'm just gonna make sure it did. We're doing RS. And we go to localhost. I wish I could see that better. Slash people slash
Joey.
Renat. And we get Renat is the best. Well, we can fix her name a little bit here. Right, just add a little space. There we go. That's her answer. She earns it. Yeah. So that's how we're getting it, right? But we can change this. Am I in that spot? Thank you. E slash, and since I'm self-absorbed enough, I'll do it for me. Right, so this is a wild card. Now what happens if I don't put Corey?
Does it break?
No, with that, but I put in like something like 76. What do we think is going to happen? Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, that's all right. It doesn't know that it's a name. Right? We know it's a name because we're human and we know what a name should consist of and all that. Because right, just taking it as a string. Whatever we put in there it thinks it's doing a good job, right? It's like you just got to be a supporter. I don't know who rose their hand first over there. Can you speak up, please? Yeah, David.
If you have a console log in the call, right? In the callback.
In here?
No, yeah, let's say you have it there. When does it know to like refresh the log that I get? Every request.
Every request fires this callback function.
This is missing on that.
So if I say log Davy, right, and refresh, there you are. If I refresh again, there you are. If I refresh again, there you are. David. Well, let's keep that one in the code. What? Why? I was just joking. Oh. So if we put a console log inside of here, which is like Express, we should try to get this in our heads as the back end, even though we're kind of exploring how things are front-endy. But let's just keep thinking back end. Terminal is like something back end, right? So if we do a console log in our back end, it shows up in our terminal. It happened every time I refreshed like the data. So every time it makes that GET request, that function fires. Even if the console log is Davy. Crispina.
The GET request is the link at the top, like we're refreshing, that's the actual.
Yeah, we know that it's specifically a GET request because we have this word .get looking for that link. If I were to change this word to be a post, it would be received as a post. We're not.
What is the type of what you're sending? A string or?
This is a string. Params.name is a string.
Yeah. Does it all response when it shows at the HTML? Is that string, like what is it?
When it shows the HTML, I'm sending that up as like a HTML file with this like send file. It tells it that it's like a static way. Express does a lot of that like heavy lifting for us. Somebody else raised their hand. Yeah, Crispina.
So, res, like the response can be different data types, I guess?
It will always come in as a string. But I mean, if you could still turn it into a number if it's supposed to be a number. Johnny?
What type of data types does send take? Like from what I've seen so far, it only takes strings or objects. Or is that
I think objects that we send up with JSON. I think it might be just strings. That's not something I know for sure. It's a good question though. Maybe check the docs. Let me know what you find. Yeah, if we don't know the functionality, and also if I don't know it, we can always refer to the Express docs. They're super helpful. When I say docs, I'm saying documentation. Yeah, Dave. Bro.
Okay, you see how JSON gives you kind of like a JSON type thing? When I was doing the homework yesterday, I was using send or something, and it gave me kind of like a JSON answer.
It still worked?
Yeah.
I guess it might still work. That's not something I really know. If it still works, it works. One could argue that if you are sending up some sort of data, like a JSON-y like data, you should use JSON because when I go and read your code, I will know it's JSON just from reading it.
And the other thing, like very briefly.
Sure.
If people is forward slash as well, in line 13,
Line 13.
yeah, so like people is a forward slash, right? Like
Mhm.
divide.
Right here.
How can I, yeah. How can I read that and not get it?
How can you delete that and not
How
get?
can I read that and not get it?
How can you read that?
Yeah, so like,
What do you
I want to
mean?
get the value of that, right? That would be like the operator, like.
Well, this has to be there. Or maybe you're thinking, hang on, let's see if I can get around this. Request that URL. Maybe it works.
Sorry, let's say for a second, people has the code, right? It's a wildcard,
Oh, okay.
and I enter a forward slash to
Into.
replace the wildcard, to replace people.
All right, let's.
How expect this?
What? It's okay.
People is a wildcard, right?
Okay, it's a wildcard now.
Now I want to
Can I get rid of the name?
sure.
Okay.
Now when I enter the URL, I enter forward slash. Where people is.
Okay. So you're saying,
The one divide, right? Like that's what the whole.
I know what you mean. You want that to be kind of
Sorry, but that's gonna be an error because it's too forward slash.
like this is a forward slash, right? Or is that a backslash?
Right?
This.
Yeah. Go around there.
Coming in that way? Why do you have to divide from
It's
there?
like one of the problems, like an operator, change the value there, plus add multiply, divide, but divide.
When you put it in backwards,
I don't think you can like interpolate here.
not in the back end of the JavaScript.
Well, it's not hitting the route anymore. I'm not sure, Dave.
Okay.
It's a good question. Okay. I'm getting stumped. Yeah, bang.
So it can be initialized with wildcard, either be star or colon.
Just the colon is what we're calling for wildcards. The star is a regex symbol that catches all things. It will match with all things. So regex stands for regular expressions, and it is a part of JavaScript that does pattern recognition within strings. That's it. And so star in regex is like for something that looks for matching. And when you use a star, anything matches star. That's what that is. The wild cards, terrible sound I made too. The wild cards is the colon in the URL. And that will create like a key value pair within those params. Alex.
What is the asterisk called?
Like that, what is that part of? It's regex.
That's regex?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not really learning that at the moment. I just showed that it was a catch-all. I'd rather us not get caught up on this. For now. Any other questions on that though? On not the star? All right, cool. So today's lesson is all about passing data, okay? So, right, there's a lot of times we want to pass data, right? You might want to request information about a particular user. You might want to keep track of like a page you're on in a book, or you might want to submit some sort of form, you know, or it might be part of authentication, something like that. So there's all kinds of times to pass data, right? This whole program is like data. So we've got three main ways to do it. One is this way, with the URL parameters, where we do request.params, and we end up with this params object that shows the key and the value, the key being the wildcard without the colon, the value being whatever the user put in place of that wildcard. The other two are query strings, which we're going to see next, and then also within a request body, which we will see after next. All right, so let me just zip through what we have here. Okay, so a query string, what's it look like? Good question. Okay, so I'm going to go back to just slash here. And I'm going to pretend we have this query string. I'm going to say console.log request.query. Ooh, it turned red. It must be another hot word in JavaScript. And so I can go to our slash, which I'm hoping on that right now. 2 slashes. And I can fill in some kind of, I could pass some kind of information in it. And how do I do that? I initialize the beginning of the query string with a question mark. Why? Why not? It's our way of letting us know, like, hey, the rest of this is coming in is a query. Crispina, this kind of goes to the website you were talking about the other day, I think. Don't worry if you don't remember the reference. But you should remember the reference. Yeah. Okay. And so let's say I want to say name, and I'm looking for one where name is Corey. Right. So maybe I send this kind of information in, and I want to get back. I'm going to send this as some sort of query, and this is eventually going to return back. Like it's going to use it, go into a database, and return back the Corey user that has the name, or any user with the name Corey. Right, so let's hit enter. And we go into here, and we got it. It came in as an object. Now, oh, that's fair. I can't see what I wrote up there either. Does anybody know how to get that bigger, Davey? Get the URL to show up this larger. Well, I wrote.
Why don't you use the video screen though?
It's like two different screens.
Why do you do that? Just remember this.
Slack messages, email, personal stuff going on. Additional notes, keep me track of where I'm going. All kinds of like stuff. When I took the test, I did it. The walkthrough, because I just closed everything. This is what I wrote. I don't know if you can see that. I can make this. I can definitely make this screen bigger.
So request query is a keyword, but it's in the console log.
I put it in the console log. It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
So let's say I don't want to send file of this, but instead I just want to send. Why is this frozen? There we go. I just want to send back a response. Maybe I'll do JSON. And I will do request.query. Refresh. Let's see this big old JSON. That's way too big.
Wait, what did the other thing do? I just took it back to the main page.
Before? Yeah.
Whatever you put in there, create.
I'm now having it show up here. Because I'm.
It always has that question mark before we input the data in.
Yeah, that's what is initializing this query. So we can go further than this. We can get more specific with our queries. So let's say, there's a lot of queries right? I mean, there's a guy from Boy Meets World, me, right? But only one of us is 100. So I can say and with the ampersand sign, just one, and I can say I want it where the age equals 100. And I can do more. I can do as many as I want. And color equals blue. I want a blue Corey. And when I hit enter, creates more items in this object. Sorry? Andre.
Whenever you throw an ampersand sign, creates a key, you enter the value, the key value there.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I gotta add this on the board. So, question mark begins query. String, or I'll just write exactly what it is. This is the key pointing to value.
I'm gonna pull that data.
Request.query. And and key 2 equals val 2. Questions on that? Try. What? Oh no, I feel it's all the way. Stamp right.
Yeah. It's exactly the same format that we see when we have like a form, for example, filled out.
Yeah, probably. But when we submit forms, we're gonna do it through the third option, which is the body, because we want to keep that information more private. Questions on how this is working? This is accessed with request. Query. Okay.
Just for like a random person that doesn't know what you might have in the database.
I mean, it depends on how the person sets up their routes and stuff, but yeah. Let's see if we can find a real life example. That sounds like fun.
If you were to console log rec.query, it would give you this object now.
Yep, exactly the same as this object. I'm literally pushing out that object for us to see just on the main screen, so it's bigger. But if I console log it, yeah, it would just show up right here. And then, yeah, I think the Studio Ghibli, you can use something like this. What am I? What did I say? Well, I wouldn't be surprised about that. All right, let's try it again. Studio Ghibli API. There we go. If we go to, I think I have to find people. If I wanted to get a specific person, I'm going to guess that it's /people/the ID, right? So let's pretend I do this. I go over here, point it in. Okay, that's all the people. Now what if I do, I'm hoping this will work, but I'm not 100%. We say question mark, and I say name equals SAN. Is it SAN, right? No, it didn't.
Capital S. Capital S.
Shouldn't matter. Oh, it does matter. They have it, so you have to have it. Nice call, Johnny. That's something you can control, whether or not you want capitalization to matter. Apparently they do. But see, we made our own little query here. That's not exactly in their documentation. But we're using a query string in order to query their database.
Am I seeing question mark name equals SAN?
Mm-hmm. All right, that's kind of an easy way to do it instead of needing their ID. Nilene?
What's in the JS file?
This isn't, I don't know what's in their JS file. This is the Studio Ghibli API.
Or prior to that. Or maybe the name.
This? Typed in this. Correct. If you were not able to replicate that, can you let me know? All right, let's help each other out on that.
I got it. That sounds a lot good. Is this one of yours?
So you have a kit already above.
So I'm gonna need this.
So if you want to add a very string, see it show up. Let's do it. Yeah.
We just want to put multiple objects.
Is it query get?
Don't think you can. Is the query part of a GET request?
Is it a get or both?
So it's, I think it's whatever route it matched. So we could use it for any of the, like if I had an app.post and that was all I had and we sent that, I guess it would take it as a post. We, I think, typically use this one with GET requests.
Sometimes, sometimes in create what sometimes like you see URLs, like you post something and then it just.
It shows it.
like, really big URL.
Yeah, that's what this is usually. Yeah, it shows, like, YouTube videos tend to do that, right?
Yeah, great.
If we go to YouTube and I go to like sign, seal, deliver, right? And I hit play. We don't have to listen. It's a good song, but sometimes we can see, yeah, we have like /watch and then this question mark and then V equals this thing, right? Yeah, that's part of like this query string. That's what we're looking at.
Can you replace that 34 with 30?
What happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe something will happen. I hope this is a good video. So it still handled it all right.
Probably the playlist.
At the end. Hey.
It stored it in my playlist?
It's probably part of a playlist, and I just went to the next item.
Message Maddie.
Oh yeah, just did it low.
Huh.
Oh, it's something love.
I just love the video. Anything else?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I encourage you to play around with more sites. It's fun, right? It's a query string. It's like, whoa, hold up. I've been seeing this during my lifetime. So any questions on URL params or query request query? Okay. Yeah, Nilene?
So request some for instance, everything is not object.
Not everything. Only the things after that question mark in that equals and format. Winter. No. Here, I'll prove that to you also. So if I go, oh, I already requested it here. See, it's also in the back end.
Can we do rest after?
Sure. Still works. I prefer JSON because that's what I'm giving. Oh, I'm way too far. Whatever.
That JSON, does it stringify? Is it object?
It's just sending up JSON. I'm not really sure exactly what it's doing under the hood. That's one of the beautiful things about request, right? I mean, Express, is we don't have to know every little thing that it's doing. We just have to know that it's doing it. right? That's like when we were even when we were using HTTP and we were like given a server there. Yeah, we still didn't totally know everything that's happening under there, but that's because JavaScript's like that's written on one of those higher order languages or whatever, right? I mean, we keep abstracting things away to make code even easier and more readable, and the nitty gritty of which binaries and all that we don't have to worry about. If you want a really pretty language, I suggest learning Ruby after this. It's even prettier than JavaScript.
Do you have more than one?
Absolutely. Where? In the URL or in a different request? Yeah, you'll have to link it with that and sign.
No, that takes another key as value. I'm saying a whole nother like query. Yeah. Not a whole nother.
I think it's only coming in as one query. It's a good question. Yeah, Alex?
Can you add a wildcard and then a query after the wildcard without putting slashes?
What do you mean without putting slashes?
So can you put wildcard and then a question mark? Or
It would still be a slash, I think. But you might
so it would be slash and then a wildcard variable?
and then slash question mark.
My question.
That starts the query string.
But you still need a slash.
I'm not sure if you can get away without the slash. Did it work for you?
This is the homework.
Oh. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, put that slash. It doesn't?
Well, maybe.
Eric says you need a slash. I'm good to agree. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Post request in the body. So a post is used to send data to a server to create / update a resource, right? The post requests are never cached. I'm essentially reading the GitHub here, but post requests do not remain in the browser history. They cannot be bookmarked, and they have no restrictions on data length. Okay, so post requests are a little bit special. They seem to be a bit more sensitive to viewability. Okay, so this kind of data is stored in the request body. So we also have this request body. Let's see what it looks like without doing anything to it. Let's see if we have it. Body. And I'm just gonna do on the slash. I guess we don't have a body at the moment because we're not really sending anything, right? That makes sense.
So what if we send and then the request body?
Send.
Request send hello world. Or is it
Maybe if I make this a post. This freaks out. All right, well, we'll get to it. Anyway, we have to, in order to access the request object and the ability to access the values in the body, we have to use something that parses it for us. I mean, technically you could write your own, but it'd be like way harder. But there is this nice package called Body Parser. So let's install that. So I'm gonna quit this and I'm gonna go npm install body dash parser space dash dash save.
What did the one give though?
What did what?
When Where's that body? What is that?
It didn't show us anything, and then it gave us an error. I don't think, I think we're just not we weren't quite using it correctly.
What does it do?
We're gonna see what it does. I'm going to comment down all the stuff that we are not using right now. Which is most of everything. Okay, so this is all that we have right now. And right now, if I go to slash, we just get, all right, well, my server's not running, right? So I go npm node.mon.js. We get to cannot get, but that's because that's a GET request. We might have to do this through Postman right now. Let's do it through Postman right now. So I'm going to go to Postman. I'm going to go to post user / send, and we get nothing in the body because we're not sending anything.
What are we doing?
Sorry, what did you do?
I did a post request to our slash. So same thing as right up here. I'm calling that to see what we get back.
We have to do.
Yeah.
Trans body parser, require body parser once we install.
We will have to, yeah. But right now, we're just seeing that we don't get anything. I think if I pass in a key value, I should send some information back here. So I'm going to say like name, Corey, age, 100.
I don't know if we answered.
Yeah. I guess it's showing us what the request is. Oops. So it's showing us this, I think, just to help us see, but we're seeing that we get nothing back in the body, right? Okay. Yeah, Crispina.
So I'm seeing like you're typing in name as the key, and that's like after the question mark, and then the value is after the equal sign.
Yeah, so I'm typing it in here. It's automatically filling it up here. I think just to visually show us what we're doing, but when we actually send a post request like Axios, we don't. I just know I don't. It's driving me nuts. We don't. Like we prevent the default so that we don't see that happen in the URL, right? But we send like when we did Axios.post, and then we did the URL, and then the second argument was, do we remember? What's a data object? Do we remember that? From Axios, we had Axios.get, and we just took in the URL, and we also had an Axios.post that took in the URL and the data object. If we don't remember that, we'll see it again today. I'll make sure of that. Okay? So don't worry. Fear not. Okay, so right now we're not seeing anything in the body. We want to see things in the body, right? So we got that body parser. So now we have a way that we can use it. Okay, so part of the way we're going to be using this is going to be covered in the next section, Express 4, which I'm not going to get into until mañana. I'm learning Spanish, so if you see me throw in some Spanish words, that's good. That means my lessons are going well. Okay, yo estudio español Whatever. Okay. If you speak Spanish, definitely practice with me sometime, please. I would love help. I'm not good at it. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. What was I saying?
Express force tomorrow.
Thank you. So tomorrow we're going to learn about middleware. What's middleware? It's like functions in the middle. Okay, right? We take this request and then we give this response, and then something could happen in the middle, right? That middle is called middleware, and we're going to go more into that tomorrow. We can talk about how to write your own middleware. We can talk more about like what this next thing I'm about to write is doing. But I will tell you that body parser is a middleware. This used to be built into React, like not React, Express from Express 3 down. This module, body parser, was already in it. They decided to take it out and come Express 4 just to make it lighter because you don't always need it, I guess. Whatever, it's theirs. They can do what they want. So let's use it and see how it works. So we're going to say const body parser, and we're going to say require body parser.
It should be before a const app, before the Express.
I'm going to put it before. I think it would be fine either place, but I like to put all my requires together so that if someone were to flip to this, they'd immediately see everything that I'm taking in. That's a file organization technique. Okay, so if I want, so you'll have to believe me and accept, if we can, that this body parser is a middleware, and that we want to call this middleware, a fancy name for a function, between every request. Okay? If we can just kind of accept that, we're going to be a little bit happier. So what's that mean? I have a way of setting it up so whatever I pass into this next thing will automatically be called before this callback function. And that looks like this. So I'm going to say app.use. I want my app to use this function, or for our purposes, middleware. And I'm going to say body parser dot, I'm going to have to accept this word too, URL encoded, URL encoded, right? Because it's been disguised. And I forget the exact meaning of this, but I looked it up this morning on the docs, but I can't remember. It takes in an options object, and one of those options is extended. And we're going to do ours for false. It gives us back like better data for the stuff we're doing. I forget what true is, but it was not as good. Again, strongly recommend reading into the docs if you have a question or you have like trouble accepting things. Because we just need it to work. We just have to know the tools to make it work and to kind of have an idea of what's going on. What's going on before that route's going to be called, we're going to call this piece of middleware, which is a function between this and this. And it's going to do something. It has access to a request body, access to a response body, and then calls this other function called next, which moves it to the next piece of middleware. It just keeps going. And we'll get more into middleware tomorrow. So I'm also going to do one more. I'm going to do app.use. Order is important here, okay? Because these middlewares will go in order. And I'm going to say app.use body parser dot JSON. Yeah, Christina.
You said order is important to sell, why is it important in terms of those two lines, like, why is it important for that top one to come before the second one?
Great question. So Christina says, why is order important? Well, the way our Express is going to use this kind of middleware, it's going to start from the top to bottom. So it's going to get this slash, and it's going to go up to our middleware, and it's going to use the very first one. If this middleware will take in a request, a response, and a next, meaning like go to the next function. And once it's done its business, it will do next, go to the next function, and then we'll go down to this one. And then that one will go to next, and then we'll get to this one. Ooh,
What is the option of extended false loop?
I'm gonna have to refer you to Express docs on that one. I looked it up this morning, I can't remember. It's better for the data we want to see it. Something with like how it's stored in an object. But I can't quite, I was a little groggy this morning. Questions on this so far? Yeah, Johnny?
On line 7, so once it gets the data, it just applies JSON to it, body parses out JSON.
It's just this, it's just gonna parse this body. I could also have put these in here, like as a multiple argument. Maybe that would have been less confusing, but it's less commonly done also. All right, so let's go back to here. Oh yeah,
What does the body parser carry? What is it going to?
it is going to decode our body when we send back a post request. That's going to allow us to see our body in like key value pairs in a way that we weren't able to previously
Right, it is going to decode the body.
in our request dot body. It's going to give us information. So if I run it now, gave us back title, body, foobar. Huh. I don't know. That's
What's kind of standard?
I'm not sure we passed in this.
Basic.
Did you pass in a key value? Yeah, everyone keeps saying empty. Did you pass in a key value, Farah? Well, isn't that
It worked.
the work for you?
Yeah. I just put name and then a name.
Just here?
Yeah. But hit send again.
Seems so weird to me.
What?
That's not the desired response. Maybe if I do JSON. Anyone else having this? Yeah, that's it.
I think nothing either.
Oops.
Where parameters, and up, like at the table, and then, you know, like the top one, the top, yeah. What's that?
This is the content type and the
Oh, it's like the, what we did earlier, with writing test, and
yeah. Oh, this is where it's coming from. I didn't pass it in as a body. I incorrectly used Postman. Sorry. I passed in params here. Don't want to pass in params. I want to change the body. So if you go to Postman, let's say Corey. I'll keep doing that. I'll say name, Corey, page, 100,000. Color blue, and now when I send, when we look at the body, we get what we want. Yep. So I'm also going to console log here. Request that body. And I'm going to make a send. And we can see it there as well as an object. Oh, glad we figured that out. That was a Postman mistake. I'm sorry, I'm not extremely fluent on Postman. I'll show us how we can do it with real HTML in a minute. Cannot get any response. All right, is your server running? Anyone else having trouble seeing their body?
So this is correct so far. So I would just walk us to
Oh, you mean.
So here's the key.
Yeah, but like the in and out, and then make a send and see what you get back.
Yeah, is it?
Whatever the data is, your requests. So you can work with that. They're looking at
I'll be back. You use the data for
Oh, yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah, there was an update and I like it, that's growing up from series like
So we're formal. Oh no. No.
Hey, so there's quite a few of us who are still having trouble with it, and it's stumped me forever too. If you are in doing this and you're in body, you got to be in this XWWW form URL encoded in order to get it to work. Okay. Okay.
Again, I'm not sure what's going on.
A couple more minutes.
Should I just switch this on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes no sense. To just learn a little bit from you.
That's a long time.
You think they were Jack? You know, one thing I've heard the other
All right, clap once if you can hear my voice. Clap twice if you can hear my voice. Okay, so let's kind of see what this could look like in a more real life situation, okay? Because that's kind of cool, but I think we can do more cool stuff. So if I'm gonna bring back our contact, because this was kind of cool. All right, do we remember this one? This was to bring up our contact page. And I used to have a different home page on our GET request. Let's see if I still have that anywhere. Nope, I'll just rewrite it. So we can do app.get, and I'm going to say slash, and it's going to take a request and response. And I'm going to do res.send file __ your name. Thank you. And it's going to be plus slash, what did I call it? Mod. Right. And so go here, and we still get this, right? I can go to slash contact, and we get this. Cool. And we get this other call complaining about API people. Okay, I'm going to go inside of our index.js folder, our contact, which is where? Here. And I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. And I don't want to fetch requests anymore. Okay. And does it complain about anything else? Nope. Okay, so it just didn't like that. So I have a note. Let's see if I can keep my notes. So another way, another piece of middleware that we have available to us is something called express.static. Okay, and what express.static does is it tells it that it's going to send up some sort of static page like HTML or CSS or JavaScript, right? And so the way, and then you can write a file name. So I'm going to add that to our mod just briefly. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say app.use, and I'm going to do express.static, and I'm going to make a file called public. Okay. We're gonna see. All right, I've only added this line. I know we don't understand what it's doing yet. That's totally expected, unless you've already read the docs. Okay, so now in my file here, in my variables file, I'm gonna add a new folder. I can't see anything, so I'm just gonna do it over here. And I'm gonna say Victor public. Okay. And inside of my public folder, I'm gonna move things. I'm gonna move my mod.js file into, wait, do I want that in there? No, I'm not gonna add that. I'm gonna add other things though. I'm gonna add my contact.html. I'm going to add my mod.html also. Okay? And so instead of send file, I'm just going to go back to send. And instead of using the directory name, I'm going to just pass in the actual HTML that I want. And now this is going to be shorter. Yep, so it's going to look at this, that middleware. So every time I make any kind of request, it's going to look and use one of these things first, and it's going to check if I have a route inside of public.
So you're defining your scope or
My what?
scope, and you're defining.
Yeah, a little bit. So inside of here, it should still work. Oh, I have to run this. Let's see, let's make sure it's working. So it's going to be a little tricky. Oh, why not? Doesn't quite like it, but it should like it. What am I doing wrong? Does anybody know? See? No, it shouldn't have to be send file. It was working at home. Definitely hate when things like this happen.
You still have those files? You have those files in public?
They should be in public. I'll put them in. Maybe what if I just slash public?
Where is this file? The mod.js, where is that file?
I still have that out here.
Does it need to be located in public as well?
I don't think it should. I might have to come back with this later, because I don't want us to waste too much time debugging.
You need to put public in front of.
No, I mean, the whole point is so that I won't have to put public in front of the path. But whatever, I'm just,
Yeah, dash public?
no, I shouldn't need any of that. It worked at home like this. On the docs, I'm just gonna do this, whatever. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to what it was, and I'm gonna see if I can still get this to work anyway. Fair name. It should be working, right? Public. So just a brief second while I get us back to where we were. Fair name. Public. Weird, right? Oh, this should probably be slash. Slash. Gotcha. Okay, well, now we're back into it working anyway. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to go into my contact page. And instead of all this stuff, I don't want a script here. I wanted to also separate the CSS out, which should also work if I have a CSS file in public. I wonder if it will work now. Whatever, I'll figure that out later. I don't want to waste your guys' time. But, so I'm gonna make a form here. Let's say form. And I'm gonna call it user data. I'm gonna remove all this stuff. And I'm gonna do like something where I say email. I'm gonna put an input. And I'm gonna have an email. I'm gonna say name, input, name, and I'm gonna have a button at the end. And it's just gonna be that button, and I'm gonna say submit. So if I go to our contact page here, you get this, right? Are we okay with this so far? Wait, why does it not show?
It's in the bottom.
I put it in the other one? Great, brilliant. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for that. All right, so we've got this form here that takes in an email and a name. It has a massive submit button. And I'm going to add the Axios library to this. So I'm going to go Axios. Axios. And I can add that little script tag into here. All right, what are we doing? We're going to fill in a form and make a post request. That's the goal. Okay, let's make sure everything is so hunky-dory. Cool, okay. Questions on so far what we've done? I just made a form inside of one of our HTMLs. And now I'm going to write a little bit of JavaScript inside of there. I guess we'll do it all in the same file because for some reason the public thing's not working, and I'll take that upon myself to figure that out later. Not with everybody here. And so I'm going to say script. And let's do our like add event listener, right? Document dot add event listener. What are we listening for? DOM content loaded. Because we want to write a bunch of code here. And so I'm going to create like this state object. All right. I can explain this in a way like as people are filling out the form, I want it to keep updating this object. So I'm going to say let state equal, and I'm going to say name. That's going to be one thing, and email is going to be the other. This is how that page loads, right? That's how the form is. This is going to reflect our form. Okay, and now I'm going to grab our form. I'm going to say let form equal document dot query selector, and I called it user data, right? I'm going to add a listener to our form. Say form dot add event listener, and my first listener is I'm just going to listen for a change. So anytime anyone does anything to this form, I'm going to fire off an event, and that event is going to have what's changed. So we can even see it. We can say debugger, and let's see if we can hit it. So, and listener to no. So it's saying that this is null.
That's the right thing.
User data? It's a class, so it needs to have a dot or period, right? Okay. So as soon as I type in one thing, I should have hit our debugger. And make sure that it's. Oh, we hit it. Let me just refresh. I wonder why not. It's paused now. It's very weird. There's some weird behaviors happening right now.
You're seeing you have this
So
change.
debugger
The correct-
Yeah, I wanted to listen to any change on the form. Weird thing is definitely was working last night. Anyway, we still got this change. Let's take a look at our event. Event.target.name. .name. And we have that this is the email target. That's fair. And we have the event .target .value, and it's got my name. Okay? So, well, what can we do with that piece of information? Well, we could update our state. We could say state at event.target.name equals event.target.value. Right, we're keying in the state at one of our pre-described keys, and we're updating its value. So as they're typing it, it's updating it.
So that pushes it into an object.
That push it into the object.
Yeah, it's like keying into its state, and then the key is event target name, event target value.
It's setting. We don't push into objects.
Oh yeah.
We don't, it's a getter and setter. So we're setting this value at this key.
Okay.
Christina? Sorry, Johnny? You weren't done.
Sorry. Yeah. So that one's the name. First key is name, and then the value of name. Correct.
If we're in the event of the name. If I'm in the other one, it'll be in the email. Christina?
The information goes being saved is into state, which is that object.
Yes. I'm just updating this object because this is what I'm going to send when I'm done. Yeah, Leah. So it had. So as soon as I start typing into our email, this will fire because the name of this is email for this input tag. Let's not mix up names. This is like first name, and this is email. So if I'm typing in, let me continue in our debugger network, our sources, I hit continue, and I start typing into here. I don't know why it's not hitting the debugger. That's driving me crazy. Does anybody know why?
See the page.
It's,
Where is your?
it's going off. It's just going off slow for some reason. So
Debugger is paused on the browser.
yeah, so it's just going off slow. But here, our name should be. This one's in the name one. and the value is this whole thing. So what's that mean? So that means when I go to click on this button, I can make an Axios request. So even I'm gonna go let button equal document query selector button, and I can go button dot add event listener, and I can just do click and on click. I don't really care about the event right now. Maybe it's going to fire default, so I'm going to say e dot prevent default, so I don't have to think about it right now. And then I can say Axios.
Should you do submit?
I should if they were to hit enter and stuff. I know I probably put that on your code. No, I was thinking about trying to push us to a newer URL, but I might not. And if you do submit, you can't redirect as well as native JavaScript. But you're right, you should use submit. I'm not just because I want to like visually be able to see me click. Okay, and there's more than one text, so they're gonna have to click it anyway. So I'm gonna go Axios.post, and what's our post thing that we're listening for? Well, actually, I don't know if we even wrote it. We can say,
You commented it out on 910.
I commented it out. Okay. So if I'm going to bring this back up, and I'm going to do /API/contact, okay, because this is like a back-endy route, right? It's like passing information into the back-end. And then I'm going to go.
It's mod HTML. Right, content. Is he working in the mod HTML?
This is a post request. Just hang on. So we're going to say API/. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. Contact. Thank you. Contact. And this takes in a request object, which is state. And this is going to return back some sort of information. So we'll say dot then response debugger, and if that for some reason doesn't work, so log our response. Okay, so let's see what happens. So I go over here, I refresh the page, I type in Corey at suit.nyc or org, I don't know my email, and I say Korsky, click on our submit, we hit our debugger, and our debugger looks at our response, which we just responded, we did res.json, right? So we should be able to see just that I sent back there. And we do. And so we also see it that it made it to the back end. So if I had a way, which we don't yet, to push this into some sort of database, I just created a new user with the form. Questions on that? Yeah, or not?
Can you please, chart, what gets where and
I can I'll definitely attempt anything, but I'm not quite sure yet what you want.
Where does the information start? How does it get to that end?
So,
It's like how the information travels.
right.
Where does it travel and when it travels?
Okay, so the first request that ever gets made on this page was the slash, right? This was a URL. We did slash, and this is a GET request. And this gave us this response of that HTML. So our response request, a response, HTML. So far, so good. Then, inside of our JavaScript, which is just like pretty normal, although I wish you could have separated it on files, I'm really not sure why that express.static link isn't working. It's really driving me crazy because I'm hooked on the problem right now. But we got around it anyway, and we wrote JavaScript that listened for any changes in the form. And every time I made a change, I updated an object that eventually I wanted to send in my false request. Okay? So there weren't any requests being made. When the user clicked the button, it means the form was done for them. So then we send out a post request to /contact, API self-contact. This is another request. And this went into our backend, and all it did was print it to our console. We're not doing anything.
So right now, because it's not actual user, the user is kind of the browser and the browser is sending it to the.
This is our client, this is our client.
It's the browser right now. because
Always.
it's local.
Yeah, it's always going to be like a browser.
Yeah, okay.
And it's always going to send information back and requests to that server. So we said, okay, show us this, and we just said, all right, we're going to respond with the data we got that you sent back. Respond with data client send. So we saw the same thing that was already out there. So it's kind of a pointless response. In real life, we probably wouldn't have responded with the same data that they sent back. Because what are we doing, right? We probably would have sent them to a different. We would have like added them into our database, then we would have moved them to a different page that they were already signed in on.
What's your, sorry.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask, what's the reasoning for that route? Is it just like represent the future database that we have to change? Instead of having, like, why do you have API/contact?
I'm doing API so that we can start thinking about things as when we're going back, sending information, receiving information. We are going to have to be APIs because these are like core backend. This is not how, when we write our full stack apps, when you get into Capstone or your personal project, you're not going to only be requesting things for Express. You're going to have front-end routing system. That's with React. That renders different things based off of your URL. And you'll have a back-end routing system, which does all of these pieces where they'll be getting information from the database or adding information to the database or updating. It's all going to be database interaction. I'm calling that API. So
somehow, where's the connect from? I know because we were just making it up, but where's the connect in the future? API-contact to
in the future, they'll all be API. Your front-end routes will be /contact/people/ID. Your back-end routes will be APIs. People/people. Crispina.
Can you show the Axios code where you like visualize Axios? That's like the API stuff that you're.
Yep. This is making a post request.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to figure out what you wrote over there. It's the browser's talking to the client/browser is talking to this as a kind of a database, and we're just like submitting the email, the information.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of like saving it to like a data.
We will
which is the
eventually.
object.
Yeah.
We're like making a database.
Yeah. Someday that object will be passed into the
So we're
database.
like initializing Axios. I don't know. We're doing
The Axios is true. This is what we'll do in the real app too, because we'll be calling things and passing things to the back end that way.
And giving it back to client, which you said that would be like switching a page to be like, okay, well, you're in our database now, you're a user. There you go.
Yeah, well, it will probably give back some sort of status, and then our front end will move you along a different way. Like it will be like, if this is successful, then we'll do a redirect on the front end browser. We will be done getting information from the back end. All we care about is if it was a success or a failure. Davey? Oh.
So let's say we have two web pages, HTML files, and they have two forms. And you fill out one form, another form, and you point them to API/contact. That kind of is like the database. You can put all the data from that form into that one API route.
So let's not get too hot and wild for database talk right now, because we're mixing up a couple things. Like, this isn't like a database. This is like information that we will then use to update a database. And we wouldn't have it all on one uniform route. If we wanted to update a contact, there'd be a route for that, because there's going to be multiple databases. Sort of. It's one database with tons of different tables. So there'll be a photos table, a users table, a comments table. So if we're updating a comment, it would be like API/comment. And we'll pass that in. If we're changing a user, API/user. The important thing here is just to see that we were able to make a real life post request with a form, and that we were able to get that object into the backend as expected, although we have it. I probably actually didn't need. If you can see, I actually have state inside of state. State's already an object. If you just do that, that would actually make more sense, because then it won't be nested. It would just be my name and that. I don't need that extra key as state. At least I can't think of a good reason to do that right now. But this is what we should be excited about, because this will do a lot. Every time a user signs up, they'll put in their name and the password, but we'll have some other middleware, which we'll get into tomorrow, that like encodes that password to be like, or hashes it into some unbreakable thing and checks it. If it's a real user, then it logs them in like a session token. We're not going to get into that till season 6, but we'll be able to eventually add that into a user. And we'll be like, whoa, this person exists in our app. Yeah, we're not.
How did the Axios that was you to do this request to the same port?
I think it's just because we're already in there, so it just probably appends its current environment. I think when we host these live, we might have to define them a little bit, something else like process.environment or something, and add that. Yeah.
I know you aren't able to get it to work right now, but can you explain the app.use express static as a middleware? Anything that's happening?
We're probably not going to need it. But a quick explanation is that it would allow me to modularize my code a bit so that I wouldn't have all my JavaScript in here and my CSS. I'd have a CSS and a CSS folder, JavaScript, I'd have plain HTML, and it would look into the public folder and then find the other folders accordingly and just serve those up. Essentially, it would look the same way as it looks now, just our files would be broken up into separate files.
Just to compartmentalize it.
Significantly more readable and nicer. I don't know why it's not working right now. I bet it's bothering me more than you. I wish it was working. Worked at home. We're not?
So I tried to put together and walk through what is happening. Mind if I just like read it quickly?
Of course I don't mind. Absolutely.
Okay. So what's happening here? And the user goes to the URL, and by that he does a GET request to that port.
Mm-hmm.
Port. and then the servers listen to that, and then it sends back an HTML page that already contains the JavaScript script in it. And that script in that user's browser listens to a click, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when the click launches, the Axios request, there's an Axios request post from the user's computer with all the info of the user. Then it sends it back to the server, to the same port. Then the server gets it and loads it at the terminal because we told that's what we told it to do.
Totally.
Okay,
Sounds just about perfect. Good job.
right.
Any other questions or want to give it explaining this whole thing a try, Johnny?
All this for it. So
Yeah, I think it might, because it's in a form. I have a feeling it's going to fire off a submit event, and I don't want it to do that. I should probably be listening to submit. Change it. This one's for Davey. And I'll change this to submit. Yeah, I'll just leave it a button. I don't care. Okay, we're not.
Right now we have the script inside the HTML. So would it know to send it if it was a separate file?
Yeah, if we mapped it out correctly, if that static public thing was working, it would be like the same way we've been doing it. Just don't quite know, because it would say source path, right? And so inside of our script here, it would say that source, and it would look for that specific path, and it would just be like mod.js. And if I had it in here,
Oh,
it
okay.
would look as long if it was inside of public. Just not quite working. I wish that was working. Yeah, Davey.
As for now, saying on the submit, does it read the whole URL? For the Axios call? Know where.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's doing that automatically. When we host these live, I think we have to do something slightly different, like add our process environment to it so it knows where to actually access the database. Currently, this will do for the first 5 seasons. Johnny,
I see how you got the query selector button.
I just grabbed it with button. It's the only button on the page. I did it real dirty. I should use a class and stuff. Crispina.
I'm trying to picture real world states that are being saved. So would it be like a if that call saw this could it be like a giant object?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we're thinking about states, like I hope we're a little bit intrigued by that state line right here. I hope we're kind of intrigued by this. In React, this is like each class or component that we write will have its own state. And this is like how we would update that. We would listen to an event for a change, and then we would do something similar. We wouldn't do quite assignment, but we would use something called set state, which is essentially doing the same thing, but forcing a re-render, which we'll get into in season 4. But if that looks kind of slick and clean, good. Get excited. David.
What was the point of parser?
Parser allows us to read that body because it's going to be encoded in sending it back in a post like this.
Read which body?
Sorry?
To read which body?
The request body. We have in our other code, where is mod.js? We have this, right, currently we're just doing request body. This is otherwise not really readable without hitting this middleware to decode it. Crispina?
So what was like the different ways to pass data between client and server, the URL parameters, the URL query strings, post request body, so that's what we're doing right now, is the post request body.
Mm-hmm.
The body is just a bunch of data that's being passed back and forth.
Yep. Exactly. Crispina says she named the 3 ways, right? The first way was what? What was our first way we learned to pass data? 1, 2, 3.
URL parameters.
URL parameters, right? And that's still something we'll be using, I promise. Okay, that one will come up quite a bit still, especially when we want to go fetch one specific user based off of a slash. Like if I type into Yelp right now, /restaurant/1213 or something, that 1213, let's say, is like an ID for that restaurant. And we'll be able to grab that ID from our URL and send it back to do something. We don't have to worry about that right now, but that will come up a lot. What was our second way of data? URL query strings, Trey, with the speed demon right there. That one, honestly, that one I haven't used very much. I don't know how much you're going to need to use that, but it's something to know.
That's like shopping or doing something.
Yeah, right. It's like I did help somebody write something for it last year. They needed it for something with a restaurant database. So it can help sometimes. And then the third way was what?
Post request body.
The big old post. Yeah, you will definitely be using this one. If there's 2 to learn, it would be post and the parameter one. But also, you might as well learn the query string. But if you were very selective in what you memorize. All right, any other ones? Cool. So there is I think a new lab that was posted. I think it's going to be like an ongoing, it's going to keep getting bigger. Mohammed is currently writing that. And yeah, today is the first lab. Okay, it's posted in Canvas. All right. I'll help you this way. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.